there, everyone. This is Chef Robert over here with Flavor of Riverside. Today, we are going to be making Italian desserts. We're going to be doing some of those really tough ones that you think are tough, but I'm going to make them really easy for you guys. And so in my bowl here, I have some flour, I have some baking powder, some salt, and a little bit of sugar. And I'm going to kind of just bring that together with a fork. And then from there, I'm going to take a little tiny bit of butter, and I'm going to add that in. And then I'm going to use my pastry cutter. So, you know, you can tell pastry cutter, it's got the veins on it here, the blades, and the handle. And I'm just going to go right up alongside. You've seen this for a lot of pie doughs, you know, is what you're using this for. And we just sort of cut it into there. It's basically at room temperature. It doesn't have to be like ice cold or anything like that. And we just add that in. Then from here, we're going to take one whole egg. This whole egg, I'm going to scramble it together. And then we're going to add this to our dried ingredients. Almost always, you're going to want to take your dried ingredients and add your wet on top of your dry versus adding your dry to your wet. They just tend to mix together better. And so in goes my egg. And then believe it or not, and I thought this was shocking the first time I investigated all this, vinegar. So we're using a white wine vinegar, and we're going to add that in, reserving just a touch, about a tablespoon. So I added in 4 tablespoons. So 4 tablespoons, the 1 egg, the 1 cup of flour, the 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and like 3 teaspoons of sugar is what we all have in here. Oh, and about 2 tablespoons of butter. Okay, now we're going to bring this together by basically scrambling it on the inside, and you could do this right on top of the work surface, you know, right on your granite if you want to, almost like a pasta. And I try not to touch it until I absolutely have to, so I'm still bringing it together with the fork. I'm going to scrape that off. I'm going to add that 1 last tablespoon of vinegar, and I'm going to keep bringing this together. All right, when I feel like I've got it together as much as I possibly can with the fork, I get in here with my hands, okay? So I'm going to pull it off my fork one more time, and I'm going to get in here. I'm going to kind of start kneading this together a little bit. And you can smell the vinegar and everything. You know, the other thing that I've seen them use before is some sort of wine. Sometimes it's even a red wine, but I've noticed that that gives like a funky color, like maybe like a port wine or something. So instead of the vinegar, you could always use, you know, some sort of acidic wine, you know, a white wine, maybe a Sauvignon Blanc or something of that nature. All right, so we have this nice dough here. I'm going to go onto my work surface. Let me get this stuff out of the way. We're going to take this and we're just going to knead it together a little bit. Okay? We don't want to knead too much because it'll make our dough tough. But once we have it like this, basically we want to rest that now for about 20 minutes. We don't really have time to do that, so we're going to come in here and I'm going to get what's called a little bit of bench flour. And it's called bench flour because it's on my bench, and it's there so I'm not putting my hands like down into my canisters with my flour and getting that bulk flour dirty. So I'm going to bring this out. I'm going to, you know, hit it a little bit on my work surface. Then I have my rolling pin. We're going to take this. And what I want to do is I want to get this absolutely as thin as possible, okay? And what I do a lot of times is I'll roll it out and then I'll cut the circles. And then from the circles, I'll roll it out a little bit more. So get it nice and thin. It's a little bit more. Notice I'm keeping it moving. All right. That's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to take like a 4-inch ring cutter. Okay, 4 inches. And we're going to cut like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can probably get 6 out of this. And yes, if I don't have too much flour, like what I'd want to do is brush off this excess flour, and then I could knead this back together and I could roll it out again. Okay? But we're going to just set this off to the side. All right. Then from here, I'm going to take each circle, because after you cut them, they will tend to shrink a little bit just because of the elasticity of the dough. And so I'm going to take these and I'm going to roll these out a little bit. Okay? And then I'm going to take cannoli forms. Cannoli forms are metal hollow tubes. And from here, what we'll do is we have a little bit of egg white, and we're going to wrap these around the cannoli forms like so. We're going to attach this with a little bit of egg white here. And what we don't want is we don't want it too tight on the form. I want to make sure that I can still slide the form inside the dough. That's going to allow me to pull the form out. Otherwise, it can be a real bear, and they're really stuck on there. We want to always be frying at 350 degrees. A little bit hotter is okay, but any cooler, and basically what ends up happening is we get really greasy product. And so we don't want anything greasy. We're going to do this one last cannoli here. A little bit of egg white. Fold it over. All right. I take a rack, first of all, that can fit down inside of our roasting pan. I'm going to get rid of my thermometer because I know I'm at the right temperature. And we need to make sure that this rack fits inside of here. Okay, and I am using coat hangers in order to raise this rack in and out of the oil. Okay, so real important. We want to set these in and be able to pull them out all at the same time. So we're going to set these on top, and I'm actually going to go seam side down. Okay, seam side down. Try not to really let them touch each other. They might glue themselves together if we let them touch each other. Okay, so we're going to lift this up, and we're going to go right down into the oil. Just let these set off to the side. Let these cannolis keep frying. Okay, and they're starting to bubble a little bit and do all that fancy stuff, which is really nice. Let them turn to that golden brown color. Okay, out they come. Let them drain for a second. And then onto the sheet pan. And we're going to take these and we're going to let those cool for a little bit until we can handle them. And to the food processor, we're going to go in with our ricotta cheese. Okay. Get that all the way in there. Don't let any escape. Then we have the mascarpone cheese, which is like super smooth, almost like cream cheese, but tastes different. It has a real artisan kind of old world taste to it. It's the best way to describe it. Definitely doesn't taste like cream cheese. So bring that together. Then I'm going to add some lemon, and we're going to grate just the rind of the zest off of the lemon without getting down into the white pithy part. And so that's coming off of there. We just give that a tap. Then we're going to cut open the lemon, and avoiding the seeds, make sure we don't get any seeds there. We're going to add a little bit of lemon juice to it. That's about a tablespoon. And we're going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla, and we're going to add some powdered sugar. Okay. Now, get our lid on. And we're going to bring this together. So we're going to pull this out. Going to bring this together. And that's basically ready to go. You can see it's about like an icing, okay? And what you would want to do is get this refrigerated again, okay? Let this sit for a while. And maybe like 20 minutes or so. You can make this ahead of time. And in that way, it's sitting in the refrigerator in your pastry bag and nice and chilled, ready to go. Then we can pick these up. And what you want to do is get that kind of moving and slide the form out. Now, pick these up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my tip, and I'm going to fill, bringing it, kind of rosing it on the outside, rosetting it, and then same on the other side. So they're completely filled. So we're going to take one cannoli, set it down right on top of the caramel and the chocolate, and then take another one, set it standing straight up, just like that. There's our cannoli plate. All your family's going to love this, families and friends. So share the cannoli recipe with everybody. All right, we're going to be right back with risotto rice pudding. See you in a minute. I have some arborio rice here that I've been cooking, and all I've been doing is I've been cooking it with water. And so I want to get the rice the majority of the way cooked, and basically I keep stirring. And you know, in Italy they'll tell you that you need to basically be stirring in one direction all the time to not break up the rice, but it's really not all that important. But we want to keep it moving. Notice how it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan or anything like that. And then when it gets dried up like this, we're going to add more liquid. And in this case, we're utilizing water. And so we're going to cook that down, and then this rice is going to be finished. Here I have some cream. I bring that cream to a boil, and I basically add everything else in. So I have about 2 cups of cream. I have about 4 tablespoons of butter. I have about 1.5 cups of sugar, which is going to go in here. Then I have some honey. Add all my honey. And you can see these little bowls that we use here. We can like squeeze all that honey out of there, which is nice, these pinch bowls. Then we're going to add some Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier is an orange liqueur. You could use a triple sec if you wanted to. Anytime that I add any kind of alcohol, I want to remove the pan from the flame and add that just to be safe. So in goes the Grand Marnier. We'll go back onto there. So I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to zest it, and I'll do this upside down, and you can see it's grating off of there. I'm getting just the outer part. Has a really nice orange flavor to it. The reason why is the rind itself holds a lot of oils, a lot of like orange oils that have just a great citrus flavor and smell. And so that's the only thing that I want. I don't want the bitter white pithy part. And this is my microplane that I'm doing this with. And when I get the majority of this, I can just come over here and tap it right in to my cream mixture. Then I'm going to cut my orange in half. I'm going to add the juice. Now they do say, like, if you have an item that you want it to taste more like lemon or more like lime or more like orange, don't add more juice, add zest. And so we are going to add the juice, though, of this as well. This is a vanilla bean. They're quite expensive. They're about $11 a bean. This will come in one little spice jar at the grocery store. And how we want to deal with this is we want to take a paring knife, and we want to cut it down lengthwise all the way down to the end, just like so. and then open it up. Then from here, I'm going to utilize my knife and scrape out the seeds. Those are the vanilla seeds. So that goes into my pot. I'm going to get this other side all the way down. This is going to give us all those little black specks that you're used to seeing. And then I take the whole pod and I'm going to throw the whole pod right into the cream. We're going to give this a stir. We're letting all that vanilla steep together. And this is reducing down to where it's, you know, it's got all that sugar and the honey and all that good stuff in it. And this just sort of comes together. Then after a little bit, what we kind of want to do is we want to fish out that vanilla pod. And this is actually trash at this point. So now I'm going to take the rice. I'm going to add the rice to the cream mixture, pulling that all out of there, and then getting rid of this to the back. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to stir. So right here we're ready to go. I'm going to check to see the thickness of it. You can see that the cream is really thickening up now. The rice is, there's almost as much rice as there is cream. And that cream is nice and thick. So as it gets cooled, it's going to get even thicker. So we can go ahead and we can pour this right into our casserole dish. Just like so. Turn off our flame. And we'll kind of smooth this out a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this right into the freezer. And then we're going to come back and we're going to plate it up here in a little bit. So from here, I like to serve this like in a martini glass. So we're going to bring over the martini glass, bring this up. And what's nice is you can see all the little black specks of the vanilla. And you can see the orange from the zest of the orange. Looks delicious. So right down into the center. It's a touch more. I don't want to short anybody. Some for this one. Little bit more. Just like so. Then I hit it with just a touch of cocoa powder right on top. Just a hint. Okay. Then a little bit of whipped cream. Little bit of whipped cream. Then lastly, just for some color, a couple of mint leaves. Shaking off the water there. Right there. One right there. So, there is our risotto rice pudding. It just looks absolutely delicious. I can't wait to dig in. I have my cream, and that's heavy manufacturer's cream. We have the powdered sugar. Powdered sugar can go in. And then our vanilla. And we'll start mixing that in a second. All right, the next thing that we have is we have our coffee. Now, I went up to like my local coffee house, and I just asked them for like, 4 shots of really strong espresso. And so the cream is gone on top of this. That's that kind of, yellowish foam that sits on top. So that's not really there anymore because it's been sitting around for a little bit. But it's nice and cold. And then the liquor that we have is amaretto. So I want kind of like almost 50-50, maybe a little bit less. But I mix the amaretto and the coffee right together. And so I have that ready to go. Then lastly, the thing that I do differently than most tiramisus is chocolate. And I have a good Belgium chocolate here. You guys could use chocolate chips and stuff like that. But we're melting it down. And we're utilizing a double boiler. And I'm going to add these 2 little chunks into what I'm already melting down. And a double boiler is a pot sitting on top of boiling water. and it's melting the chocolate without burning the chocolate. I have my springform pan, and this is like a cheesecake pan. And you can tell, I'm not gonna unpop it, but the bottom of the cheesecake pans have two sides to them. And I'll flip it over and see this one side has like an edge. And that's usually facing the other direction. So my cake comes off of here when I unspring it and it just wants to slide right off. I invert that, so I put that edge on the bottom, all right? Then I have the clasp here and I got that locked in. I make sure that it's sealed well. And then I want to put parchment paper on the bottom of this. So how I'm going to do that is you could unspring it and put it on there and spring it back over the parchment, but I like to fold in half. Then I fold again into that one corner. And in that one corner, I turn this into like a triangle. Okay. Just like so. Then I kind of get a guess estimate right here to the center. I take the tip to the center of the pan, and then I just cut around the outside here. Okay? Then I see how well I did. Open it up, lay that in, and it's a little bit short, but that's okay. I don't mind a little bit short. What we don't want is a little bit big. Let's go ahead and whip our whipped cream. So we're going to bring this over and knock this down. Notice we are using the whisk attachment. And we're going to bring this up. And we're going to whip really well. Now, I can pull out all my lady fingers onto my work surface. Then I have this bowl here. I'm going to pull out my mascarpone cheese and into a bowl. Just like so. Now that's the stiff peaks. And I know that it's the stiff peaks. We use this comment when doing egg whites and whipped cream. See how when I hold my spatula up, especially this peak right here, it looks like a mountaintop, a real sharp mountaintop, and it's not bowing down to anything, okay? So it's ready to go. I'll knock that down a little bit, pull this out, and then we're gonna take some of the whipped cream, roughly about 50-50, add that in. Then we're going to mix that together, kind of folding it all together, pulling from the bottom to the top, bringing this all into this nice, cheesy, light, airy cheese cream mixture, which is just beautiful. So here we go. Let's start building. We're going to take our lady fingers and we're going to just kind of break them up a little bit. And we're going to bring them right to the edges. Okay, and all the paper's there for is to help us slide out once it's done, once this is all finished. And so bring that out to the sides, go down in the center, and then I'm going to just like fill it up. And I want to make sure that I'm pulling the ends of the lady fingers all the way to the edge, because you're going to see that when we unspring it. That's what I want. Then we're going to take the amaretto coffee mixture, and we're just sprinkling that on. A lot of people will dunk the lady fingers. I tend to just sprinkle because I think it almost gets it too wet. You know, this is going to set up almost more like a cake than like a pudding. You know, a lot of people, when they do their tiramisu, they're literally spooning it out. This, we're going to cut into like wedges. Okay, almost like you would a cheesecake. All right, that looks good. I want them fully covered. Now, this is my little trick. I take my chocolate, which is all melted. I want to get a fork. And then I'm going to take the chocolate, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to, not even trying to make it necessarily look pretty. I'm just going around everything. What the chocolate does is it gives me structure. See, when this cools off and this all sets up, the chocolate is going to be hard again. Now we go with our cream. And we want to add enough cream to where we're not mixing it in with the chocolate. So I do like 3 big dollops, like so. Then we're gonna take a like cupcake spatula, they'll call these, or just a mini offset, you know, little pastry spatula. And we're gonna come in here and we're gonna smooth these out and around. And if you do mix a little bit of chocolate in, don't worry about it. All right, lady fingers again. Just like so. All right, so we have that on. We go with espresso amaretto mixture one more time. Now we go back to chocolate again. So into here, go circling it around with chocolate. Nice, beautiful. So now we're going to add this on here. We're going to go more mascarpone cheese. And this is going to be our topper as well. So we're going to add all the rest of it. And if we don't have enough, we have a little bit more whipped cream. Okay. I'm going to take our spatula again. And here again, we're trying not to pick up the chocolate, just like you would icing. Okay. All the way around. And if you pick up a little chocolate, so what? In this procedure, we have basically half and half, cocoa powder and powdered sugar. And then we're going to take our sifter, and we're just going to go along the top. And we're going to dust this all the way around. All right. All right, so we just pulled our tiramisu out of the freezer. It's been in there for about an hour. It's all it really takes to really set up good and firm. And remember, we're trying to set up that chocolate, let alone the mascarpone and stuff like that. But really the chocolate was what was hot that went into here. We let go, pull this off, and look at how beautiful that looks. Okay? So I can serve this like a birthday cake, you guys. And you can see the nice edges. If I wanted to cocoa powder the sides, I could do that. And it could be served. Now remember, it's on that paper. So that paper allows it to slide completely off of here. So I can now go onto a cake wheel or something like that. Okay? All right, so I just sort of clean myself up a little bit. I get a serrated knife. Serrated because I need to go down through that chocolate. And so I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to go down through, and you can feel the layers of chocolate. Okay, every time you go down and through. Take this, lift this up. Make sure you avoid the paper. Bring this over. Set that on. Now, if I wanted to add some berries or something like that, I have a little bit of mint behind me. Just add another color. We're going to just shake that a little bit from having it be in the water. That right in the side of the cake. And guys, there is our tiramisu. Ready to go. Chocolate in between. People are going to love this because they've never had chocolate inside their tiramisu before. I think, you know, this was something that I thought of so I could do it like a cake. There's no spooning this out. And I've made this for friends as a birthday cake before. So give this one a try. Thank you so much, Flavors of Riverside. This is Robert Sevely saying happy eating.